Okay, so I know we have some folks, excuse me, that are returning for additional sessions, and we possibly might have a few new folks. But I did want to let everybody know that I did record Monday's session, and is now up there on the YouTube channel, and I will send that link out again. But that's going to cover sort of the regular scope of what we've been covering from start to finish around the preferences setting and accounts, opportunities, and reports and dashboards. But we're gonna go and, like I said, just deviate a little bit from that today and just build on what we've created from the sample database. So just to let you know, if you want to cover the basics again, I encourage you to watch the recording from yesterday. But just from the shortness of time today, and then we've got our go live obviously tomorrow, and lots of work still to do with that. So I'll try to get this knocked out. But I think there's some cool stuff here that I want to show you guys and just kind of relate it more to an actual sales scenario. All right, so let's go back again, just to housekeeping items here real quick to cover our homepage components. So the login information, when you get your login set up, you're going to want to go and confirm your info. So I bring this up again just because last night when I was playing around with some scenarios, I realized that in our production server, my email was set up as jkangas@Harris Broadcast. So when I was doing some testing of things, I was not getting those emails because there is no jkangas at Harris. There's only jamie.kangas. But anyways, I updated that for Imagine Communications, which is obviously the current one. So just verify that everything's correct here, and this is your place to change it. Again, from a password perspective, you'll set up your password initially, but if you want to change it, again, this is the place to do it, where you key in your old one, the new one, with the challenge phrase. One update since the last time I've done the trainings, I believe Salesforce now, when you log in, is actually going ahead and prompting you with that secondary authentication option up front, meaning that if you're going to log into a different device throughout the day or in the next coming days, to validate yourself through that 5-digit code that you'll get as a text message or an email. I think it's prompting you for that now as well, so that was a different change that I saw last night. Again, from the language and time zone, validate your time zone is correct for your office or where you're centrally located. And then from the language perspective, again, modify these as needed for the additional languages. If you want to go and change the menu structure of your Salesforce instance into your local language, you have that capability. All right, so back again to our email. So I was playing around with this last night too. And then again, here's my email settings. There's my email signature that I've put in. You can modify this as need be, because I'm going to cover an example of emailing a quote right out of Conga today. So we're going to show you guys that you can do that without having to go and save the document off and launch Outlook and et cetera, as you normally do. I'm going to show you guys how to do that directly out of Conga and directly out of Salesforce. And then, again, from these email template standpoint, we're going to show these in-touch settings. These are the ones that when you create, again, a new contact, it'll give you the option if you want to send a sort of an intro email. This is default template. You can add and change these as you see fit, or you can just bypass it altogether, but it will always prompt you unless you say skip it altogether. So that's there. And then again, from a chatter perspective, as we continue to grow and use this is, again, where you can kind of come and make sure that you are making these modifications to your notifications. So like anything that you get notified on your mobile device, there's either too much of it or too little of it, right? So this is where you want to go and control how often you get pinged on being mentioned in a post, or somebody shares something that you like or that you made. This is where you kind of control the tolerance level of how much you want to get emailed or pinged from a notification standpoint. Make sure you go and play with this. So I've been recommending that you initially leave it be for probably like the first 48 hours. Again, when we go live tomorrow, I'm not expecting, everybody to be in the system. Everybody's got regular things to do as well. But as we start using chatter heavily, you may realize that, wow, I'm getting notifications left and right. I got to dial that down. So just come back over here and just remember that this is where you come make those adjustments. Okay? All right. So let's go back here to our home page. So we're going to go again and pursue a RFP opportunity from this customer that we've been working with, the Houston Rockets. Let's an NBA basketball team. And what we would do if we came in here, I've done a few steps of this already just to save time, but from the standpoint of the account itself, I'm going to go in here and look and find the Houston Rockets account, which I could go and just type in the account itself. So here I'd look up the Houston Rockets. If I just typed in Houston, and it brings up again all the examples of account names that have Houston in it. So there's Houston Texans, there's the City of Houston, there's Houston Christian Broadcast, et cetera, et cetera. But obviously I know I want the Houston Rockets, so I'm going to select that. And I get into my account now. And now, as I've got a little bit of this more filled out, so this is going to be an account that I've done a little bit of activity on. And again, we're working through the RFP process, so we're going to kind of start that up and show you guys what that looks like. So I've created a new opportunity on this account based on the RFP. So I called it Panel RFP. But there's a few extra things that I've done here on this account as well. So in the times that I've been working with these guys, I now know that my contact, James Harden, is indeed sort of the decision maker. So he is the one that really is going to make the call on whether this purchase goes through or not. So I'm going to show you guys where you can make that you can add that as a contact role in the opportunity or the account. So here, I'm going to do that in the account. So I come here to contact role, and I'm going to hit new. And it's going to prompt me to add their last name. So it's going to click on that. And then I can say here, well, what is that role? So that could be business user, that could be evaluator, that could be executive sponsor, whatever it is. But I know he's the decision maker because he's the guy that's going to approve it. So I'm going to mark that as decision maker and save it. And all that's really doing for me is just letting me know, if I had just say 5 contacts for this customer, everybody obviously plays a different role in every customer we deal with, right? We're going to deal with an influencer. We're going to deal with an executive sponsor. We're going to deal with a purchasing person. We're going to deal with an executive. So if we add those from the role that they play in this particular account as an example, this starts building out more of the profile of that account to just say, when additional people are on the team, perfect example is, you're an RSM and you've got a new inside counterpart that just started with the company. And if you could give them, here's the Houston Rockets account, go check it out. So that would give that individual a lot of, rich information to go validate and learn a little bit about it, right? So they could see that, there's been some activity, they could see that who's on the account team. They could check out the opportunities that have been created. And then obviously here in the contract world, you just say, well, here are the folks that, are really the players in this account, right? So we've got James is my decision maker. So I know, I could possibly contact him to confirm that a purchase is going through or, indeed when that's going to happen. So you can kind of see where that gets built out to add some value and some additional good information. So as well in this account, we filled out a couple of other options from, our pretend scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
So we created an activity, meaning an activity is sort of like a task and sort of like maybe I want to document what I want somebody to do for me. So in this example, in this RFP, I created a new task called Please Review RFP that I've assigned to my RFP counterpart, which is Vilma in this example. So I set this up as a high priority, and then I set this up to get reminded Thursday at 10 o'clock. The system's going to come remind me to just go and check back with Vimla to make sure that she had, reviewed the RFP, right? This is just really what I asked of her to do. So I just set up a task in here, and this is just kind of as a reminder tickler to let me know to go follow up on it. As well as from the activity history, this is post the activity, but this would show that this earlier today I actually emailed the proposal, and it's logged now as an activity. So this is where I can go back and see now, when did I send that to them? When did I communicate with this customer in whatever capacity? I can go back here and look at my activity history. So you can see as you build out, constant communication with the customer, you can kind of come back and check that. Okay, so back again to the account where we're going to take a look at this scenario again. We've got an RFP that was in my inbox, and now I've created this opportunity for them that reflects that RFP. So I've created one here called Panel RFP. You see that. I'm going to drill down into it. And I put it in here as stage 3, so upside probability of winning. And the customer let me know that, you know, they got to have this stuff on site basically by October 9th because they got to have it installed that following week because that is the beginning of preseason for NBA. So we have to have all of our new stuff in the stadium to be ready to go. So that's basis on that. That's where I put that data information in here. As well as in the opportunity, I know that this is an RFP, and I know that Vimala is my bid manager that I work with, so I went ahead and added her to the account team. So she has the ability to go in here and start working on this opportunity in her capacity and her scope, which is to manage the RFP process. So what does that look like? So from her point of view, she would go into this opportunity, and then she's going to go into this section here called Bids and Proposals Engagement. And from this standpoint, I've created a new proposal sheet. So I would go in and create a new proposal. So let's edit the one that I already did. So this one's called, the RFP was called Stadium Outfit. And then these are the bits of information that they need to track. So the RFP management team needs to track that. So this could be, they need a full response, they need a package proposal, they need a drawing of bill of materials, they need a financial package, whatever it is they can select here as far as the items that are part of what they need to gather. And then the only thing that's required here is the proposal name and the currency. I can obviously label this from the due date, so I put in here that this RFP is due back to the Houston Rockets on May 8th. It's a top-tier account. I know that I've communicated to Vimala that it has budget approval, so it's already sort of ready and approved once the best price comes in. So I can check that, and then I can save that, and I'm good to go. So now, from Vimala's perspective, this is how she's working on this opportunity. She's adding her piece of the puzzle here as far as the additional material, documentation, whatever it is that needs to be gathered to get this proposal back out and the RFP, filled out, from her perspective. So now she's got her avenue of how to get into this opportunity and how to work it. And then again, me as the sales owner of this account, I can go and check all this activity. But at the end of the day, what I did was I notified her that I created this opportunity by sending her a chatter. So I just basically copied and pasted the opportunity ID, and I went in here to chatter, and I sent her a direct message. So rather than using the feed and posting out to followers like we've just, discussed and showed in prior calls, I'm going to show here how we can just send a direct message. So here is a new message, and just again, I select that to Vimala. It's going to populate her, and I'm going to say, hey, please review this new opportunity with an RFP document. Okay? So I send that to her, and that just goes out directly to Vimala, timestamps it, the whole thing, and now she'll get this as a chatter message, and she knows now that she has something to go take a look at. So I listed the opportunity ID, so she'd go back in and look at it, directly from the opportunity again, or she can query for the account. Same way that you do it, she can do it as well. But then she knows she has kind of an action item here. So again, I'm in Salesforce. Obviously, I could have picked up the phone and called her, or I could have sent her an email. But you can see as you create this kind of stuff, staying in the application and staying in this function is really the cleanest way to do it. So now she has sort of her marching orders to kind of start that process and review, and then that's what it would have looked like going into the opportunity and adding that RFP documentation. Okay? So from the earlier call we went ahead and created a quote for this one. And what I wanted to illustrate here is really just, as all this activity is taking place, we can see how the opportunity is starting to sort of fill itself out. So we've done some kind of base layer opportunity entry, just showing you guys the minimum requirements to get an opportunity in there and the minimum requirements to get a quote. But obviously, everybody's going to have their own preferences and tolerances for how much data they want to key in. So I just wanted to show in this example how we've done a little bit more. So in this, we've gone and we've selected the line of business. So we know it's going to be Playout Infocaster. So we selected that out of all of our options. And then obviously the Infocaster product is selected here. We know that when we met this customer at NAB, and again our fictional scenario, we met these guys at NAB, and this is when the initial discussion started about, some possible projects down the road. So we're going to mark this as a lead category of NAB. It could have been just regular customer relationship, or it could have been some other roadshow, but here's our criteria that we picked right now, so that we know
I see it.
we can go back, a year from now and look at all the opportunities that we generated from NAB as an example. So again, back to a rationale of an ROI for the reasons that we go to NAB and the business that comes out of that. That's critical to start, tracking that a little bit more closely. So that's the reason that was put in there. So this is just, another example of just, additional data that I can start filling out. Okay. So as we go into this opportunity again, we've got some of that additional notes that we put in there and additional field that we filled out. We've got our quote that's attached to it. We'll drill down in that in a second. We've got our proposal. It's part of the opportunity. We've got some, information about it as well. And then we also have this, the contact role, and we know that James Harden is the decision maker. So somebody can go back into this opportunity and identify this contact as valuable. In other words, they're the ones that are calling the shots and making this happen. And as well, all of this is tracked, right? So we can see when things happen, what fields were changed, what was updated, the stage history. So just wanted to illustrate to you guys just, how an opportunity can start providing a lot of valuable information. So when somebody takes over or when somebody's, looking at it, they can start putting the pieces of the puzzle together a lot more clearly, rather than having to, funnel everything out to phone calls or emails to kind of get the picture. If you're asked to, to take over, or if you're asked to participate, you can, be a little bit more educated in the whole opportunity. So this just wanted to show that from illustration purposes. All right. So we've got the quote here that we built out earlier that I wanted to take a look at. So we've done a quote here for some components, again, in our test database. I don't have any InfoCaster SKUs, so I can't pipe those in right now, but for just illustration purposes, we just use a couple of SKUs and added these quantities. And what I wanted to show you guys here is, we've got this one syncing. It's all good to go. It's all rolled out. But I wanted to show you just, what else can I do when I create the document besides just, save it and store it. So I'm going to go back again here to create proposal, and it's going to launch our Conga Composer. And I'm going to pick one of our templates again with our equipment list. But in addition to, I'm going to add my contact role, because now I've had that in the opportunity. So it's now going to reflect James Harden on the cover page. And then I'm going to select an Adobe document, and instead of instead of download, I'm going to select email, meaning it's going to now merge and create this as an email. So let's take a look at that so you guys I can show you what it looks like. So we're going to launch that real quick, and it'll generate that in a few seconds. All right, so what's going to be different here, obviously, is now we're taken to the Salesforce task object, and it's now created this as an email. So now I can see that it's coming from me, who it's going to, that it's related to the quote. I can also select that it can be related to an opportunity. I can relate it to a case. I can relate it to all these different things. I don't think all these will show up in production, but anyways, we probably leave this as a quote because it's related to the quote. It's going to have that name of the quote that we selected. We can CC other people here. If you're BCCing yourself automatically, you can put our subject here, RFP quote response, and then here we could say, James, please see attached quote and response to the RFP. All right, so what I'm doing here basically is I'm sending this directly to my customer right out of Salesforce. I didn't have to go in Outlook. I didn't have to go create attachments. I didn't have to go save something. I didn't have to figure out anything. I'm just emailing it directly out of here. I can do spell checking. I can attach, additional files. So here's my attachment of that PDF quote. If I wanted to attach some collateral or some product pictures or whatever else, I can do that as well from here. And, and send this off and away I go. So just really want to show you guys here that this is a great functionality as far as saving you time. If you know the quote is clean, it's good to go. This is really, I think, going to be a useful tool for everybody from the standpoint of just, keeping you in the system and managing this process all throughout without having to go bounce around to different applications. All right? So let's cancel out of that, and we can take a look at what that now entails. entail. So again, now that I've got that sent out, it did save this as my notes and attachments, so here's my additional version that I just did again. But this is, again, historical perspective of when I saved this. So, and I realize I'm here logged in as myself, so that's why I'm seeing additional things. So apologize for that. Let me log in as sales user test again.
Test and play and all that stuff before it gets unleashed to all these people. I mean, the only saving grace is I agree with Eric. There's not going to be that many people.
All right.
They're just going to all magically go and start.
All right, so that is some additional things that I wanted to show you guys, and then we can run through, the quote examples again. But for the most part, like I said, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a different take on it today, just to kind of work through a process. We hadn't gone through the RFP proposal aspect of it, so I just wanted to show you guys the team that manages that, how they interface with the opportunity, how they come into play when it comes to working with that. So again, all I did was add Vimala to the team and then sent her the opportunity ID, and then she would have gone in and created this activity around the new proposal. There's no responsibility on the RSM part from the standpoint of, doing that. It's just, who's going to be managing the RFP, right? So the RFP could be, 5 or 6 pages of data that they need to provide. Maybe they need our financials. Maybe they need, questionnaire answered. Maybe they need some validations on some government, authorizations. Whatever it is that they're managing, they're going to track it through here, basically. They're going to track that progress. They're going to track the documentation. They're going to attach different things. Whatever it needs to be, that's how they work with it, and that's why that was created, to keep them, again, tied to the opportunity and all sort of on the same page.
We don't want to take our order processing,
so then
quoting.
The other thing that I wanted to kind of show you guys is the channel aspect of this. So, going back to our original scenario, we know that the Houston Rockets was working with this other partner that's going to actually do the installation of these panels. So my initial opportunity was set up as direct. So all I did was go in here and change it to indirect. So this is how I'd go back and change it back and forth. So it's now set up as indirect. So if I needed to go change it back to direct, I can do that. So in this example, we set up indirect, and then we added, again, our fictional channel partner called Imagine Channel Test. And just to review again, if we wanted to confirm that they are authorized to sell that product, all I do is double-click on their account, and this is where it comes to show me the products and discounts that they're structured on their contract. So I would come to validate that, if we're quoting integrated playout, if we're quoting servers and storage, whatever it is, this is where you can come validate that they are indeed, contractually allowed to sell this, along with their base discount. So this is where you can come add that. If they are not, or they need to be changed, again, there is abilities to go and modify that and change that from one channel partner to another. We can go into multiple scenarios, obviously, but just know this: if you're working on an opportunity and there could be 5 channel partners involved, obviously those 5 channel partners would have different pricing. That would indeed be a different quote and a different opportunity. So that's one aspect of it that we haven't necessarily covered, but I don't know exactly how many times that happens day in and day out around the globe. But if it does, that at the end of the day does have to be managed a little differently, because you'd have to be providing individual quote responses to those partners based on their discounts. Okay, so let's go and just review again from our reports and dashboards and go into a little bit deeper aspects. So the reports here themselves, like I said, there's quite a bit of canned reports. We're still working on what is going to end up being the final visibility for everybody for tomorrow and the next coming days. But just know that this is going to be probably an evolving process, meaning that you might have access, you might see some stuff today, you may not see some other stuff in the coming days, you may see more. We're just trying to finalize the final outcome of the visibility standpoint. So mostly just pay in mind that we don't want to flood you guys with a lot of useless stuff. We don't want to give you an overwhelming amount of things that you can see that you don't know what to do with. So we're just trying to refine it down to the most valuable and the most relevant stuff to go look at. So again, from these opportunities, I've got some samples here. I've got the opportunity reports that we've been bringing up as examples. So there's different ones here that are listed. They all have descriptions of what they're for, and then all you're doing is just drilling down into them and taking a look at what they could potentially generate. So each one of these, there's really nothing to break. You can always drill down on any one you see here and take a look at what exactly they will come up with. and then you can decide if you need to make modifications to them. Again, the training of this is not that difficult, but if you want to go through it, there's certainly lots of online help. Or if you have some individual reports that you may need some specific data collected, the sales operations team will help with that moving forward as well. So just wanted to touch on that a little bit. And then back to chatter here again. So we did cover this quite a bit in the last training sessions, but again, just trying to show you guys the methods of how to communicate, what kind of stuff to share, the power of these groups as far as how these topics can continue to cause a lot of this activity to bubble up and be more relevant, and what to follow. So I think this picture will start to build itself out pretty well in the next coming weeks, and we can start seeing the value of this. Again, service and professional services has been using it since day one, since they've been up on it, and have found it to be very valuable, very useful. So from that aspect, I just wanted to cover this off for one additional time, and then move forward from these other examples. But let's see, I've got 11:36. These have been a little bit shorter because I've kind of gone through these a little quicker. So I'm going to unshare real quick and see if we've got some additional questions.
The conference has been unmuted.
Is there anything that anybody wanted to talk about from a topic, or make sure that they're still comfortable with this agenda and what we're covering? Any questions on anything?